Despite being chartered, the organization remained a fraternity with no affiliated school. To make matters worse, the group was extremely fragmented.
There were a lot of problems the chapter faced in the first few months.
At the end of sophomore year, a bunch of guys, a lot of the founders and the kids that I was came into this chapter with and recruited at the beginning with Lynch. I don't know, we're thinking about quitting.
You know, we weren't seeming to make much progress.
The brotherhood just wasn't there at the beginning. You just had 50 guys, and like there's a group of 10 guys here that knew each other, and then a group of 5 guys here, and never even interacted with some of the kids.
The idea of cliques being within the fraternity, I think, was definitely an accurate statement.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely in a way forced brotherhood, without a doubt, because an organization is supposed to be the clique that you're in. Like, it's really tough to have cliques within a clique, like if that even makes sense.
You know, I think we really reached a turning point in the beginning of my junior year when a lot of people, including myself, were ready to quit if, you know, something didn't happen.
People didn't really have that bond that usually you get through pledging.
We weren't open to other people. We didn't want, we didn't want to merge cliques with other people. Like, we had some of our friends, and that was kind of what we just wanted to stick with.
I mean, everyone in the fraternity knew each other for a year. Some people knew each other outside before school, but not even that well. So I think that's why it got cliquey. People were only familiar with the people they knew.
We realized that we had to do more events as a chapter and more events as brothers to get people less cliquey and more united and acting like a group of friends.
I think the biggest change was we got our first house off campus, you know, which immediately, you know, made us that much more legitimate.
With the chapter finally having a house to call their own, things looked up going into the fall of 2008. However, that would be the time the chapter hit rock bottom. Many brothers were on the verge of quitting, and with the brotherhood and social scene being non-existent, Kappa Sigma's future looked bleak. The chapter boasted being well-rounded, but the social scene was definitely lacking. After planning the first social at the new house in the fall of 2008, spirits were up, until the social turned into a complete disaster.
Well, for the first couple of years, it was basically not even there. There was no social scene, which is part of the reason that I was kind of turned off for the first maybe freshman, sophomore year.
As far as our social scene, I mean, it would be a lot to say like our fraternity that's not a part of fraternities. That's a huge part of fraternities, is the social scene. And I think at the beginning it was really hard for us because we didn't have a house.
We started hosting a bit of get-together events by ourselves in the dorm rooms, just to start off with, such as we'd have people over for hot wings and football on a Sunday afternoon. But then we figured, all right, well, people at Bentley obviously like to party. It's a great school, and people need to relax and party.
You don't want to say it, but it really did make us like the chapter we are, because whether we like to think of it or not, people don't want to join like a chapter that just plays checkers. Like, I'm not saying people want to join a chapter that like has insane parties, but you want to be a part of a social scene. Everybody likes to be surrounded by people. I
mean, the worst part for I think everyone was we tried to throw first party at the house, and there was like no one there. It was just all brothers, and we were like, I was real nervous at that point. I think that was probably a month into junior year maybe. So we sat down, a group of the founding fathers. I know I was involved, you were involved, and we just sat down in a room and locked ourselves in there and said, what do we need to do to make this work?
We had a meeting in my room with a couple of my close buddies and the president at the time, and we kind of put it all on the table, and we're just like, either like we're gonna make a move now or this is gonna be done.
We figured out like we need to dedicate some time to this. We need a group of guys who actually want to make a social scene work, because obviously in any fraternity, everybody's not there just for partying and drinking. There's kids that are there for resume reasons, for networking reasons, but a lot of us really do want to have a good time and hang out on top of that. So we had to come together and figure out what was going to make that work.
I think a couple of really successful events and, you know, really good parties in the beginning of junior year are really what saved the fraternity.
This looks like and it is. We have had Big Brother nights for 3 years, and I have never had good pasta.
None of these kids know how to cook. Like, they try to come here and do something good. They'd be better doing nothing at all and just ordering out. Makes me sick. I walk in here, I smell garlic like it's a garlic farm. I don't want any of this. It smells disgusting.
I just think after sophomore year, once so many people got so frustrated with the chapter, that it was either quitting or make it work. And once we got a pledge class and stuff in, I think people started getting a little more positive about it. Once some of the parties started working, I don't think it was one thing that really turned it around. I think it was just kind of everything started working out. Like the golf event started working out. People were like, this might actually work.
I mean, it was a learning process for everybody. Everybody goes to elementary school. You don't go right to high school, so we needed to learn a little bit before we stepped up.
The chapter then began a transformation to solidify their well-rounded image. The social scene began to improve, and the fraternity began to come together. Their identity was beginning to form. In the spring of 2010, the chapter successfully initiated a pledge class of 16. This class was not only the biggest on campus, but it solidified Kappa Sigma as a legitimate threat.
We were told we were the class that saved the fraternity.
We did play a pretty big role in bringing the chapter to what it is right now.
I mean, I think the fact that our executive committee is fully comprised of kids from the Gamma class pretty much says it right in a nutshell.
Yeah, definitely made a lot of friends. I'd say the Gamma class was the closest people I had here at Bentley.
2 juniors and 3 sophomores on the new EC. The first time ever that this chapter has seen an EC without the leadership that founded the chapter, and for the most part, and committee chairs too. There's very few committee chairs that are even alphas.
We were a huge class. We were 17 kids.
I think in terms of success, in terms of building a chapter, without the Gamma class, probably going to be.
Aside from their growing popularity on campus, the chapter also put an emphasis on volunteering off campus.
So Kappa Sigma initiated a lot of community service and volunteer events. Just for ourselves as an organization, we hold that as one of our main pillars that the foundation that we're built on.
The community, I think the chapter has done a good amount of stuff for them. I mean, we've done community service within Waltham, whether it be the drain sticker stuff or just volunteering around here. Also with the golf outing in the Fisher House, I think that's definitely a huge event that I don't think a lot of other fraternities do.
I know we've helped the local Waltham DPW cleaning up parks.
No fraternity or sorority or Greek life organization at Bentley had ever approached the Waltham Public Works before since the history of Bentley to do anything like this. So we were very surprised at that, and we really want to give back to the community, not just by donating money, but by actually doing something.
I know we had, I think, 1,200 community service hours last year, and all of Greek life on campus, fraternities and sororities had a total of 700, and our chapter alone had 1,200.
I feel like my contribution to the Boston area, Waltham area, has gone up tenfold in the last 2 or 3 years.
We wanted to be a community service-based organization because a lot of our members feel like this is a very important event of life and of any organization, to give back to the community that you're from.
For the second summer in a row, in 2010, the chapter won Kappa Sigma's Founders Award of Chapter Excellence, along with a plethora of other awards. The chapter's identity had become defined by being the biggest on campus with the highest GPA. In addition, the chapter began to utilize the intelligence of their members, founding an internal investment group and making a push to improve communications.
Kappa Sigma Pi Kappa has won many national awards, over 15 national awards that ranks us in the top 10% of Kappa Sigma chapters in the entire world.
I mean, maybe we'd win like 1 or 2, or just be run of the mill, but to think that we're like a small school, the group of guys we had, and we turned it into something like really big, and everybody really cares about is great.
As far as awards for the chapter, I definitely didn't think we'd win any awards.
I didn't think we would be winning this many awards. I mean, I kind of expected what we did on a regular basis was just the standard.
What I think makes us so special is that we're organically grown and from grassroots made it our own thing. And honestly, the people that are in the organization are all very smart. They all want to be involved in the community, and they also know how to have a good time. So a combination of those things and having a large member population comparatively and really the brotherhood of what we have makes it able to win all these awards and be recognized on a national scale.
This is a great picture, by the way. Right, you next to the award with your nice sweater vest.
It's actually not a vest. It's got sleeves.
The chapter now finds itself in a point of transition. With the founders on the heels of graduation, The younger members are now stepping up into leadership positions.
The chapter, in terms of turnover and the founders moving on, I'd say the chapter is sort of running into a couple speed bumps along the way.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's going well.
The founders and the guys that are leaving are leaving a lot behind for us to build on. Definitely left a solid base that we can work with.
I think there's like a lot of people in the fraternity who had power positions and they're not dealing well with, not that they're not dealing well, they don't know what to do because they don't hold a power position. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
But I'd say for the most part, we're sort of taking it and as a learning experience, and it's good to, be wrong now while there's people that know what they're talking about, be here, right here, to help us through the process, rather than saying, oh yeah, we had a flawless transition.